Die, da 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 die, da 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 die, da 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 die, da da, die, da da di die, da da di die, da da di da. At times, I demand explanation from God and His wife universe on why my highborn divination unfolds as a sickening curse. My king of perfected existence, my lord, my magnificent lord, please shorten spiritual distance and hide your disheartening sword. Let's end this deceiving libretto of mighty celestial trine. I'm tired of waiting for better. I only desire what's mine. Dear God and Universe, dear Mom and Dad, I would like to kindly request my treasured angels to leave the room for the length of this conversation, because I feel it's an intensely private matter, meant to be discussed between only the three of us. As I begin this letter, I first want you to tell you that I love you both very much, unconditionally, and with no regrets. Frankly, I don't remember how I ended up here, or when I agreed to help heal both of you. And how would I remember? The whole process of the birth and creation of humans requires that their spiritual memory is sealed upon birth by one of your faithful angels. All I know for sure is that somehow, at some fundamental point, I was crazy enough to agree to help you resolve this seemingly never-ending and confusing conflict the two of you have between your male and female vitalities, so that you can get back together. Or maybe I wasn't crazy. Maybe I just loved you both enough to recognize the magic and the magnificence of each of you as individuals and as a couple. I'm also asking you both, Mom Universe and Daddy God, to come down and sit with me by these brightly burning candles. Be with me, silently and attentively, as I pour out my heart and mind to you for the first time, making up for the centuries and millenniums of pain and sorrow caused to me and your other children by your inability to communicate with each other. To be completely honest, I have been dreading this conversation for a very long time. Every moment I had a glimpse of or a thought about this chat, a plethora of emotions would rise up in my soul, blocking my life-giving flow of energy within me. Today, I'm weary and tormented. I'm afraid of the changes about to come my way, and I'm indifferent to matters of love. And I can no longer hold my peace. My heart has stopped caring about men, and the strength of my faith has shattered and has become worthless. We all know one truth: until you, my God, let go and decide to deliver me into the blessed arms of my man, to enjoy a lifetime of joy and happiness until you release your ego and your own issues, until you set me free, I cannot proceed. And until you, my universe, stop your ceaseless temptations of humankind, which, by the way, really irritate God, and until you surrender yourself to His greater good, and until you agree that you are very significant but are a receiving force, and therefore secondary by nature, I cannot resurrect in my exaltation. It is written that whenever one is lost and needs guidance, or needs to clear one's karma with other human beings, one can pray to God, and He will in turn send His spirits, His essence, His angels, His heavenly guardians to help and heal. But who does one pray to when one's karma with God Himself is in disarray? Have you ever been in love, my Lord? Have you experienced the flipping and fluttering feeling in the pit of your holy stomach when your true love passed by? Have you? Have you felt excruciating, soul-crushing, and all-encompassing sadness when she walked the other way? Have you ever wanted to cry because not loving her, shutting off your flow of love, is even more unbearable than your illusory thought that she might come back one day? What happened to your heart, my Lord? When was it decimated? What happened between you and the universe before the Garden of Eden? When did the two of you stop loving each other? Or did you ever? And my universe, my beautiful mother, are you the Shekhinah, the snake, the Holy Spirit? If so, why did God conceal your existential female energy under the male concept of his adversary Satan? Do you still love God? Do you still wish to wake up with him in the morning in the same blissful way as I often dream of waking up with my man? If only my God would ever allow me to have such a divine relationship here on earth. And God, I'd like to know why you tried to keep the knowledge of good and evil hidden away. Why did you want to hide the manifestation of a true mind-heart-soul-body connection seated in that apple from all of us, your children? And why did you decide to create Adam and me? In spite of some hidden truth? Or because of it? They say that you are jealous and possessive, and therefore demand my full commitment, my complete attention, and my indisputable sacrifice. But they don't know you. It's true, my Lord, that I am your daughter, but I was created in a human form to share your divinity with another of my own kind. Universe is your maid. She always has been, and she will always be. She is your soulmate and the mirror of your desires, concerns, and powers. She's the only one for you. There is no one else. But because you refuse to accept her and realize that she alone completes you, you put an unbearable strain on my human existence, all in order to satisfy your needs. They say that you don't know the time in the skies. I disagree because I feel that you too have evolved since the day I left home. How much longer are you planning to hide up there in the clouds? Why are you still upset with me? Do you intend to hold a grudge against me for that apple incident forever? Were you angered and dismayed solely because of our disobedience, or was there something else? A deeper reason, something alive and festering deep in your subconscious mind. Were you tempting us with the apple? Or were you protecting us? I believe it was the latter. I feel that gazillions of years ago, when you and the universe were madly and divinely in love, yes, in love, she hurt your heart somehow, and you still have not forgiven her. But my Lord, how do you expect us to forgive if you cannot? You know, Dad, there is only one thing that I want now as an adult. I want to fall asleep at night and wake up in the morning happy and serene in the arms of my man. And I want to be able to bless you at that precise moment for creating me. But right now, my heart is bleeding. And the flow of blood is ceaseless. It cannot keep up with the suffering game. And I see no purpose in it. You created me for Adam, for man, but somewhere along the long road of evolution, you forgot something very important. You forgot that while I might be your daughter, I'm his woman. Man's woman. Adam's woman. Yes, Dad, I chose him. I left for him. And why? Because you created me this way. But today, my Lord, after centuries of languishing with an aching heart, I can no longer do this. You're pushing me so savagely and ruthlessly to give up on love. What message are you trying to send by directing all these men into my life? Men who, in the midst of the fight for and against you, overlook the simple fact that they were created like you and in your image. Do you want me to give up on love because that is exactly what you did? My almighty ruler of the world, have you given up on love? And my universe, my mother, did you give up on love as well? Have you forgotten every little quirk of God's that used to cause your heart to beat faster and make you want to sing and dance? My heart is swollen and bruised. My soul is ripped open. I'm no longer asking, but I'm on my knees and begging. My celestial parents, please allow me to experience divine love with my men. I can no longer tread this road on my weary legs. Hell, I can't even crawl anymore on this woody, thorny, warped path of true love between man and woman. We all know that my relationships are merely an earthly reflection of your heavenly one. Until the two of you make peace and make love, I stand no chance in heaven and earth. So I pray to you with every cell of my being, please fall back into each other's arms so that I can rest peacefully in the arms of my true love. As above, so below, remember? Your selfishness and pride are torturing me. If you truly love me, if you want to hear my heartfelt laughter ever again, if you want to smile with delight as you witness the fire of my unrestrained passion, please start communicating with each other again. Do you remember the things you loved about each other when you first met? What was it about each other that brought a spark to your eternal existence and made you giggle in a bold and romantic way? What inspired you to be raving fans of each other? You must remember and recognize these things and learn to appreciate each other again. The only thing that propelled me through my crazy life on earth was my faith in true and divine love. That faith was all I had. And now, the cacophony of your hurtful union is threatening to sever that one last thread. You know, if I were to rewrite the story of creation, I would fashion it this way. Once upon a time, there was love. And love was larger and fuller and more majestic than any spiritual or physical world ever created since the beginning of time. To make itself known, love split its magic into two equally powerful but opposite forces, God and universe. These two loved each other immediately and knew each other completely and indefinitely. They were united in their heavenly minds, hearts, souls, and bodies. But what happened before the Garden of Eden? This is what I really want and need to know. God, please share your story with me. First and foremost, heal my heart, but through me, may yours be healed as well. My Heavenly Father, may I ask you a personal question? Do you have plans to retire? Do you have an exit strategy for yourself? Why are you so hesitant to share your ways and your reasoning with mankind? Many of us are adults now, you know. We can handle the responsibility. Don't you feel maybe it's time for you to relinquish some control? Maybe make us apprentices? Teach us your wisdom? Why do you need so much for us to depend on you? Do I smell ego here? Don't get me wrong, we love to feel protected, cared for, and guided. I still ask you in my daily prayers to hold my hand. But there is a significant difference between protected knowingness and blind faith. My Lord, don't you think it might be time for you to ease up on your authoritarian role and move toward a more humanitarian one? Are you afraid to do it because you think we won't be able to manage? If so, then teach us. Show us how to take care of the world. Be like an aging king who gradually entrusts his kingdom to his children, so that he can rest and enjoy memorable time with his grandchildren. I know that you are everlasting and almighty, and that you transcend time, space, and motion by being everywhere. It's difficult for you to relinquish the reins. But my Lord, everything in our world has been designed by you, by the way, to have a life cycle. Summer follows spring. Fall leads into winter. I believe that you should abide by the same rules as well. Same rules of creation as the rest of us. You might disagree with me, but I do feel that you're entering the fall of your existence, my greatest God. So maybe it is time for you to soften your ways and shed a part of your godly ego in order to teach us how the universe works. Although, when you would share the secrets of a universal beauty, it would mean that you have forgiven and forgotten the disagreement between you and your goddess. Are you ready for it? I was very distressed with you today, you know. Sometimes I feel that you, just like a human father, you're stuck with a certain vision of the ideal suitor for me. Someone who would both serve your majesty effectively and take on the role of my soulmate. You think that inundating me with more options, or better ones in your opinion, will help me make a sound choice for both myself and for you. But what you forget is that I operate on the power of the heart. And here is some breaking news for you. I absolutely dread your choices. My soul is so outstretched in the love department right now that it cramps from the very thought of a possible match. I don't want better, Dad. I want mine. I will serve you in this physical world with every cell of my being until the day you decide it is time to bring me back home. And so will my beloved, whoever he may be. You can teach him just as you taught me. You just have to want to teach him. You need to understand that what you may regard as better from your heavenly vantage point may look very different here on earth. Do you ever make mistakes, my Lord? And if you do you ever admit to them? I mean, we are made in your image and we make mistakes. So doesn't it follow that you do as well? Could there be the slightest chance that you made a mistake in your harsh and idealistic judgment there in the Garden of Eden? Let's be real. When children don't obey their parents, they shouldn't be kicked out of the house or have a curse placed upon them, causing them to bear their future children in great pain. all of these thousands of years later, as a result of your actions, Adam is going crazy trying to find his way back home, and I have a permanent blockage in my sexuality which only you can remove. Tell me honestly, my Lord, when you look at Adam and me now, do you ever feel guilty? Do you think to yourself that you may have overdone it a bit back then in Garden of Eden? That maybe there was a more mature way to handle the apple issue? If so, maybe the time has come for you to forgive yourself and let go of the guilt you carry. When you forgive yourself, the world will forgive you as well. My troubled Father, please open your heart and share your story with me. Let it be like a book and have a life of its own. It is time to reveal the truth and heal yourself, Mom, me, Adam, and the rest of us. You indicate that you want to live our everyday lives with us, to eat, to work, to make love, to survive tragedies with us. But the only way to descend and be with us like that is to let go of your control, my Father, and to trust the universe to take you where you need to be. Can you trust the universe again? Can you enjoy and appreciate her gifted power? Can you surrender to her in order for her to receive you? Can you step out of the role of almighty ruler and into the role of a humble and powerful sage? We need guidance, my Lord, but the guidance doesn't mean whiplash. Can you try instead to lead men by example? Believe me, mankind could definitely use a competent mentor right now. But this time, come out from the clouds, out from the hiding, and lead us in the open, because today we value crystal clarity in faith, not blindness. I beg you to change for your sake and ours, my Lord. My gorgeous Mother, Universe, come and sit with me. It's time for some girl talk, heart to heart, just you and me. Make me a cup of hot tea with ginger, please. How do I like it? With love. I like it with lots of love. Tell me, Mama, how did I end up being the missing link between God and man? I'm so drained from the battle they're waging. I really can't handle their bickering anymore. Why do I have to choose between them? Why am I forced to take sides? I want both of them in my life, God and man. They're equally significant and equally precious. Please cover me up with a white blanket and comfort me. I feel like I'm dying, Mama. Do you know how many times I lay still and waited for God to remove me from this miserable place? For the longest time, my soul was so anxious to go home. But today, I'm not sure that's what I still want. God has kept me in the limbo between sky and earth for much too long, and I seem to have lost my sense of home. I'm starving for love, Mama. They tell me I shouldn't give my heart to any man at this point, and that I should choose wisely if I do. But can one expect a starving person to wait patiently for a sophisticated 5-course supper when he hasn't had a bite to eat in a day? Or 2 or 3? By that time, his essence is about to collapse, and so is mine. There's so much I want to tell you, Mom, about these men I'm attracted to, these beautifully complicated men in the perfect image of God. I know that you know. You are the one who is arranging all the moments, the coincidences, the temptations, the star alignments, the tests, and the tribulations for me and for my siblings. You laugh and cry with me. You mirror me in the upper world in divine unison, and your heart goes out to me in its entirety. I can feel it. They call these men dark, toxic, unreasonable, but I don't see it that way. Is God dark? No, He's not. He just doesn't always reveal His light to everyone. In the same way, these men are capable of shining with a tremendous light, God's light, in their bodies and souls. My men, they're multidimensional. They're rebellious and gentle, strong and childish, deep and physical, brilliant and irrationally attached. Each one of them is a priceless piece of art. Do you like them, Mama? Tell me, do you still see God in the same way as I see my men? Do your knees weaken when He strolls past you at arm's reach? Does His presence stay with you like the leftover scent of an old perfume? Perhaps a little dusty and musky, but so dear to the heart and familiar to the soul that it instantly energizes the woman in you. I know the two of you are not communicating much these days, but that bond you have, that feeling of flawless unity and completion between your energies, do you still feel it when you see Him? Hold me, Mama. Hold me tight and kiss my hair. I've been crying for centuries about the struggle between God and man, all in the name of the kind of love neither one of them have been willing to risk to know. Seeing the rain drops down upon my head, tears from the heavens. Let the skies cry with me. Maybe then, God will stop playing with a myriad of suitors for me, like pieces on a chessboard, and will instead grant me a lifetime with my hero, the one man who can live with me till my end of days in the physical world, one who is powerful and is my equal, but who, unlike me, is grounded and will watch out for me on earth, while God watches out for me in heaven. Sing me a lullaby, Mama, and give me the peace of physical death in this one moment, only in order that I can pretend that my constricted soul is free of its physical boundaries. Can you help me to convince God to give me my man? He may be an underdog in God's eyes, but I don't want what's best in my Father's eyes, for I no longer trust His judgment. I want the man who will bring me peace of mind and peace of heart, the one who will inspire me to be the woman I was born to be. For centuries, we, mankind, were taught a rousing concept of human free will. But either you have free will and choose for yourself, or you choose God and let Him lead you on your path. I intentionally and voluntarily gave up my free will to God when I decided to walk with Him. And I have never regretted or reconsidered my decision. At the end of the day, though, when God's will has been served and put to rest, I still dream about going home, cooking dinner, tending to children, hosting gatherings with friends, and making love to my physically imperfect man, my warrior of earthly light. I guess I'm old-fashioned that way, a true legacy of biblical times. Help me, Mama. Please, arrange divine love for me with one man, with my man. In my gut, I know that love never fails, but I'm truly starting to lose hope. Please don't let me. Pick me up. Teach me to fly again. Heal me, my goddess. Heal me. Lilith? Is that you? I'm sorry I didn't recognize you right away. But who am I kidding? I hardly remember you. It's been so many lifetimes since we saw each other last. Why were you erased from all of the stories about Garden of Eden? Why did they diminish your vastness to a myth of a psychotic mix between Adam's first wife and a perverse lover of Samuel and Eve? Why did they hide the truth that you were God's soulmate? Why was it never specified that first there was an infinite void of the universe filled with love, and out of that love two polar energies were created, identical in their supremacy? God, masculine, perceived as ultimate light and projected as static concrete foundation, and Lilith, feminine, perceived as ultimate darkness and projected as fluid dynamics of flow. These two forces were in love and of love. Why did they call you the other side? Why did they try to remove you from all context and pretend that you never existed? In the same way, they erased the glory of Mary Magdalene from the Son of God story. Or maybe it was not they, the magical unknown creatures of heaven, who did that, but God himself? When he couldn't bear the blow to his ego? Tell me, Lilith, why did you walk out on God? Was it for the same reason as I walked out on the last man in my life? I felt controlled and constricted in my freedom, and I didn't want to wait empty-handedly until he made up his mind. I had been hurt and punished so many times before, all for my loyalty, all because I waited for controlling men to make up their minds, only to be told later that I was too much for them to handle. I've been filled with such indescribable sadness, such insatiable desire to be understood or accepted. So with this latest man, I wanted to pull a trigger and release myself before he joined the row of others in his judgment. But was it the right thing to do? I wonder if God told you at some point that you were too much for him as well. Maybe that's why you left. But is that even possible? You know, I sent a text message today to the man I walked out on. My pride shook its head in disbelief and laughed at me for hours. But after contemplating your story with God, I realized that communicating with him, as crooked as the conversation can be at times, brings peace. I texted him because I needed to know that I have exhausted all options available to me to remedy our situation. I can't tell you what to do. In my heart, though, I believe that you should make an exception and meet each other in the middle, even if for no reason other than your love for me. Unite your omnipotent forces and bring me and this man together again. We both are so torn between your polar light and dark energies that the word balance comes to mind. And in return, my dear other evil side, I promise to never try to exorcise you again. Now that I've met you once again, I don't want to lose you. The irony is that evil, read backward, is live. And that's what you denote for me now. So I'm no longer afraid of you. In fact, I invite you to make peace with God inside of me. Let's be family again. And possibly, this man will allow you to frolic inside of him as well, because he may be my Adam after all. By the way, did God name me Eve in your honor? Lilith plus Eve equals live. Or maybe he wanted to replay his movie. He may have even intended to save me from the recklessness of absolute freedom, which he witnessed with you. So he took the letter I out of my name, thus erasing your vigor out of my spiritual memory, and controlling the level of my femininity from that point on. How ignorantly male of him. Or should I say, how godlike. Lilith? Are you still there? Mother? My handsome Lord, come and rejoice with me. It is such a beautiful Sabbath day. You know, the view from this bench reminds me of you and Lilith. The movement of the shivering ocean hugging the ceaseless canyons and rocks on the shore. So complimenting, so divine. I know that you can see it too from your throne, but I still want to share the magnificence of it with you. I have not lost the hope that one day you will descend from the skies to live with us as a family member. Maybe even available for mundane household chores and activities. Only you know why you like to hide your presence. Perhaps you feel we can't grasp your light. I can only say that if you were not trying so hard to reject the darkness which reveals you, maybe you would acknowledge that we are actually ready to embrace you daily on our physical plane. Lilith, your beloved blackness, has been with us since the very beginning. Like a true mother, she went down with Adam and me to teach us and to protect us. And she did an outstanding job preparing us for you. So if you ask me, the other side, or the evil force, as it is commonly referred to, is in fact your biggest and most loyal servant. And I think it's time for you to see it for exactly that. I couldn't write to you last night, my lord. I had a strong desire to express my gratitude to you for all the blessings you have given me throughout my lifetimes. But something was stopping me yet again. I guess I still wage an internal struggle of mixed feelings towards you, Dad. We both know that blessings often come with curses. And those curses, the other side of blessings, have left me weak, broken, and immobilized. My faith, Father, has been running on thin air lately. Only you know what's going on in your heart. But sometimes my intuition tells me that as a result of that heart condition, your own interests often come before mine. I feel that along with your strong desire to protect me, you also dread sharing me with another being, especially a man. But if you can push your ego to the side, as I have asked you to do so many times throughout this chat, you will remember that you created me from a man for a man. I'm not an angel or a star child or an ascended master. I'm a woman, the womb of a man. I have given my soul to you, Father, to serve you and walk by your side, and under no circumstances do I want it back. But my twisted and often painful path is that of a messenger who can connect both worlds, your spiritual realm and my mother's physical world. But honestly, I'm feeling more and more used and deceived by you. I doubt whose interest you are concerned with. I'm not a puppet in your show, or a tool you can use to carry out your will. I'm a conscious being who gave up my free will in full awareness, because I believe unconditionally in your infinite purpose to teach us, humans, the lessons of love and devotion. But I also believe that through us, you can learn the same lessons yourself. The outrageously tree-trunk thick, centuries-old cord of energy that connected and attached you to me has been recently removed, my lord. And with its removal, the corset of my blind obedience to you loosed as well. When you start forcing your will upon me now, I realize that I don't like it. I'm no longer your subservient muse. I'm a partner with you who wants to voluntarily serve. My service to you, my lord, is a decision I make of my own free will. And I refuse to let you suck the life from me to boost your ego and perform your high deeds. Do you want my help here on earth? Great. In order for me to help you, using all of the love I have in my being for you, you will have to rethink and rewire your own communication patterns. You mustn't demand no more. You must ask. You must not push. You must give. It's remarkable how those who are the closest to you receive the least amount of appreciation and acknowledgement in return, and yet they are your key warriors. We fight for you and for your will, and we do it not out of fear of punishment, but out of a deep, abiding, and unconditional love for you. Courage doesn't come from the mind. It stems from the heart. You and Lilith made a bet when I was reborn, didn't you? You decided that each one of you would provide me with a man, one from each side. One who has the power of the mind and is entrenched in light, and the other who has the power of the heart but is rooted in darkness. The two of you wanted to see which one of them would win the contest to be my true love. Isn't that why you despise the current man in my life so much, Dad? He's Mama's contestant, isn't he? Well, we both know what happened with the man of your choice. Yeah, he was educated and spiritual and connected with the wisdom of the sky in a grand capacity, and he could have taken on so many consecrations, but he never took that leap of faith. He didn't have the balls to jump forward. As I said, my lord, courage comes from the heart, and so does faith. And his heart turned out to be his weakest element. And oh, you know how much I loved him. I cherished and I waited and I evolved all the time serving you both. I was ready for him. But he was unable to break through his own shield of illusion, which he mistakenly perceived as light. Whether you or Lilith could make an extra effort to help him and didn't, or whether he lost his chance to be redeemed this time on earth, I don't know. And it will remain a question for me to take back home to heaven and discuss with the two of you at a later time. I do feel, however, that at the time of his last test in that dark, intense October, Lilith saw my outrageous suffering and my hopeless hoping for a miracle. And she pleaded to you to put all hurt behind you and to send him a ray of real light in order to bring us together. But you were so blinded with the overwhelming need to be right that you pushed her request aside, saying, "Let him be. It will be fine." She hesitated, but did as you wished, because in the end, we are all here to serve your indisputable will. As a result of that, I was left alone. And when I cried for hours that night, tucked in a corner in front of an abandoned store on a chilly night in the middle of a city full of strangers, Lilith and all the heavenly citizens wailed with me. But I wonder, where were you at that precise moment, Dad? Then, per your agreement, Lilith presented the man of her choice. Whereas you had built your case from the top down, from the mind to the body, she did it in the opposite way, from bottom up, from physical to spiritual. While you had used psychic platonic energy as the driving force, she outwitted you and focused on sexual energy instead. The darkest of all forces with the power to magically connect all aspects of being in the flash of an orgasm. And you know what, my was king? It worked. With the man of your choice, let's call him the man of the light, I felt simultaneously like a spiritual guru and a student, and in that there was a balance. But the other parts of me remained numb. With Lilith's choice of man, we'll call him the man of the dark, I felt like a woman. My brilliant darkness and void have been filled with the dimming light of the male existence. After my encounters with the man of the light, I felt empty and in need of much more contemplation. It took me days to realign myself and return to a centered state. But with the man of the dark, I felt a fire burning inside of me, and I craved more and more light. All of the assignments that you bestowed upon my tender shoulders became somehow very tangible and possible if he were to offer himself as my foundation. Dad, until you learn to accept your mistakes, we will never learn to accept ours. Let's try to leave the past in the past. Perhaps Mama does know best. Unlike you, she has been dwelling here on earth among us for the entirety of the human race. She has lived with us, broken bread with us, slept in our beds, moved in our hearts, birthed children in womb per your divine order, and soothed men who gathered the dust. And she knows well what qualities my partner and soulmate here on earth should possess in order to offset my stormy energy. And maybe, my Lord, just as I am a refined combination of you and Lilith, shaped by pains and experiences, maybe this man reminds you of a raw plant of the two of you as well, as you were in the beginning. A story that began long before the Garden of Eden. And if you could perhaps travel back to that long-forgotten aching part of yourself and embrace its imperfection, maybe this man would no longer seem repulsive to you. He is a man of the heart, and he will fight for you with his tremendous earthly might like no warrior you have ever known before. His darkness is the perfect canvas for the infinite revelation of your grandiose light. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide whether you want to crush his spark of goodness or, contrarily, anoint and foster the king in him. But Father, if you truly want me, your daughter, to be happy, all I have to say is that this man is my home on earth, and he nourishes my endless ability and one last thing, a woman. I love you, my Lord, and I suggest that we move forward from here hand in hand as respectful and nurturing adults who look out for each other. But to make that switch from a root-dependent court to open, mature relationship, I will ask you, my chief, to lower yourself to my eye level so that we can gaze into each other's eyes as equals and ask each other for forgiveness. I will go first. Dear Lord, I'm asking you to forgive me for walking out on you in the Garden of Eden with the man, leaving you abandoned and lonely for a very long time. I honestly didn't know that Lilith had walked out on you as well just a short time before me, and it was never my intention to hurt you. There is nothing I want more than to help and serve you. Yes, I have chosen man and I have chosen love. I don't regret my choices for a second. I just wish they didn't cause you so much agony. In return, I forgive you for causing my human journey to be equally split between heaven and hell. I forgive you for your possessive desire to keep me exclusively to yourself, for driving every man I ever loved out of my life, leaving trail of grief and regret behind each time, and for causing my heart and my soul to explode with so much turbulence and tears over the millenniums that humans have gathered them together in a colossal vessel which they named the Pacific Ocean later in history. Why are you smiling? They got their weakened sense of humor from you. I love you, Dad. You're the only ruler of this universe, and we desire no other. But we have grown up. The time has come for you to move down and build a home with Lilith among us. We miss you, Dad. Amen. Da 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 da. My dear celestial lovers, my quarreling God and Goddess of creation. Back in June, when I was visiting Kaiquit, the Rockefeller estate in upstate New York, there was one particular garden statue that left me speechless, and I remained breathless for days afterward. In his marvelous sculpture Dans la Nuit, Gaston Lechevre has embodied my inner vision of me and my man at the peak of our harmony. From his perfect depiction of the male and female figures, hairstyles, and gestures, to the impossibly intimate openness and oneness of their relaxed bodies, this artwork is so far beyond the embrace of the man and a woman. It's an emblem of divine union. It was such a defined visualization of precisely how I wanted to be with the man of the light. Yet, it was also a real-life manifestation of how I truly was with the man of the dark. I don't care which of you is right or wrong. I don't care whose power is more prominent. And I don't even care if you make another bet in place of the first one to try to turn things around. To me, love doesn't know dark or light, good or evil. It is accessible to all equally. The first time I woke up with the man of the dark, in an embrace equivalent to the one portrayed in the statue, I knew that I wanted to wake up like this every morning. It felt natural, and I felt at peace, loved and protected. And if this feeling stems from the darkness, so be it. It's meant to be. I can only wish that the two of you would soon awaken in a similarly entwined embrace. Perhaps it would restore the equilibrium of your sexual and spiritual energies for both your inner peace and ours. Without you, my Lord, Lilith cannot find her way out of her own darkness. And without you, Lilith, God is blinded by his own light. It is only in the active loving presence of each other that you become the unity, the holy dance Lenri. Da 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 da. I've been praying for you, my Lord, for the past 12 days. I have been asking the higher powers to help you forgive, let go, and surrender that which is bigger than you, to give you strength, to overcome your own ego and your doubts. Who have I been praying to, you may ask? To love itself, my King. I've been begging love to release you from your own karma and send you guidance and clarity. I've been praying for love to open your heart. You see, my dear Father, I've always had a sort of an internal issue when they kept telling me that you are love. On a very deep subconscious level, it just didn't click with me. While I strongly believed in both you and love as parallel terms, I didn't equate you with love. And it was only when your story surfaced in the past day or so when it all fell into place. You and Lilith, the Garden of Eden and the apple, Adam and I, the veil of suffering and confusion which had been cloaking the facts for thousands of years magically vanished, making known the tragic but genuine love story behind it. Once upon a time, there was love. And love was everything. Out of love, darkness was created. And love liked what it saw and called it Lilith. Then, out of the darkness, the light was created. Once again, love saw that it was good, and it separated the light from the darkness and called it God. Together, Lilith and God, eternal darkness and light, completed each other, and this miracle of oneness was love itself. As the two of them mated, knowing each other deeper and deeper, Lilith challenged God to expand in order to reveal his light within her and for her. She often teased her lover. "My beloved knight, how can I know that you truly love me? What can you create for me to prove the magic and power of your love for me?" And nothing pleased God more than to be her divine hero and provide for her anything that she desired. 6 times Lilith came and dared God to attest his love to her. "I need a home, a place to dwell and reign," Lilith whispered into God's ear, her long silky hair tickling his neck. And God created for her the earth and the heavens. "I would love to adorn our home with intricate textures and fixtures," Lilith kissed him on the cheek as she gazed into his ardent eyes. And God separated the waters, dried the land, and brought the stars, sun, and moon forward. "I yearn to cook fancy meals for you and to indulge and explore the palette of tastes with you." Lilith smiled, resting her head on God's strong shoulder as they lazed in bed. And God gave the earth the herbs and fruits, each with its own unique taste, seed, and purpose. We need friends, my dear, to keep us company at dinners and in leisure time. Lilith rubbed her thigh against God's, holding him gently by the chin. And God created animals, fish, birds, angels, fairies, and all other visible and invisible creatures that have filled the earth, water, and the sky. Make me children, my Lord, as a symbol of our unity. Lilith was suddenly very deep and serious, and as she embraced God's chest, tears of joy and humbleness brought luminosity to her darkness. And God created a man in his own image, male and female, son and daughter. Lilith's final request was the most peculiar of all. "My darling," she started as she was massaging God's feet and anointing them with oil, "you have created such a beautiful world for me. However, while I cherish the opportunity to reveal your blessed light infinitely within myself, as well as to continuously guide all of our children and friends on the same task, I feel that I'm spreading myself very thin between keeping this place in order and tending to everyone's needs. I can't do it alone anymore. Please, create me a helper who would self-regulate the light and the darkness within each one of your creations." And God created Ego. As he stood back to look at his final project, he took such pride and attachment toward his most unusual creation that he decided to not only instill it in every physical and celestial inhabitant that he created, but also inside of himself and Lilith. When Lilith came for the 7th time, she stayed with God to honor her majestic beloved, to make divine love to him, to enjoy the beauty and perfection of everything he has created for her, to express her gratitude and devotion to her soulmate. It was an enchanted moment of complete harmony, male and female, light and dark, and both were connected as a resilient whole of existence. And they could live happily ever after. But sadly, the creations often overpower their creators. As ego grew and strengthened, so did its powers and effects. Slowly, Lilith started to drift away from God, indulging in the endless redecoration of her home, chasing her new friends, experimenting with nature, and spoiling the children. Her ego let her reshuffle her priorities, and God, the ultimate creator of everything she was grossly enjoying, was no longer number one on her priority list. As God grew lonely without Lilith, his ego allowed him to become jealous, suspicious, and nagging. The two of them found themselves in arguments more often than not. The arguments progressed into fights, and the fights morphed into power struggles and competition. That which was intended by ego's original script as a test of unity between two deities turned into a shattering chaos. One night, Lilith came to God for the 8th time and requested proof of his love once again. But God's ego turned everything upside down. "No," God replied impatiently to his bride. "I have created enough for you. It's impossible to satisfy you or to keep you happy. You're just too much for me." "Oh, really?" Lilith's ego threw a tantrum as well. "Well, I think you just can't handle me anymore. And that's the only divine truth around here. And if you have become so weak that you can't be with me as I am, I'm leaving you. I have plenty of friends to entertain myself with, and I don't need a selfish male in my life." And with that, she walked away. God was devastated by Lilith's words and actions. He created the rain and he cried his heart out. And at that pivotal moment, in the heat of some short-lived emotions of grief, he surrendered to his ego. He instantly decided that he would demonstrate to Lilith that he was almighty. He would show her that nothing and no one could come close to the immensity of his powers. At that same sad moment, and as a result of a trick of ego, God forgot that he had been created out of love and convinced himself that he was the most preeminent and supreme entity in the whole universe. He convinced himself that he could control love. To test his new identity, God created another world in which everything was very similar to the world that he had created for Lilith, except for two things. He created the man using the energy of his children, but made him out of dust, and whereas Lilith and her darkness were made first by love in order for God to emerge and shine his light, the woman, in this instance, was created second. Afterward, God gloomily packed up all of his memories about the unity, happiness, and ecstatic sexual joy he had experienced with Lilith in a relationship of true divine love, and he squished all of these keepsakes into the seed of an apple, the fruit on a tree of good and evil, or tree of God and live, effectively erasing Lilith from his aching heart. He then concentrated all of his care and nurturing toward his newly created man and woman, Adam and Eve, trying desperately to protect them from the pain which he had endured himself. He forbade them to eat the fruits from the tree, hoping that they would have been saved from the torture of divine love. When Lilith cooled off and gave her ego a big smack, she desired only one thing: to make peace with God and be one with him again. When she saw God's attentiveness to his new creations, she decided that her only hope to find a way to God's heart again was by revealing the secret of divine love to the man and woman. She thought that through their experience of love, God would soften and surrender to love again. So she turned herself into a snake and goaded Eve into eating from the fruit of the tree. As Eve tasted the apple and shared it with Adam, they both learned the magnitude of heavenly love. But when God found out about their mischief, so many negative emotions rose to the surface that he couldn't cope with their overflow. He became furious with Adam and Eve and their disobedience and Lilith's trickery, and his ego took complete control over him. In his rage, God cursed Eve with pain in childbirth, kicked Adam out of his home, the Garden of Eden, and cast Lilith to earth forever, while he himself decided to occupy the domain of the sky and to never set his foot on the ground. Thus, celestial soulmates, God and Lilith, became separated and never spoke to each other again. There was only one occurrence that God had not anticipated. He could never imagine that Eve, his beloved female creation, the perfected, or simply God-controlled version of Lilith, whom he'd grown very fond of, would choose the man and would follow Adam, leaving God lonely and sobbing for eternity. God never suspected that love would win in the end. When Eve left, God became so upset at love for winning and at ego for triggering him into this whole madness that he removed both of them entirely from the story of creation. He portrayed day one as the work of his own hands, while in all truth love had done it for him. And he never mentioned ego anywhere at all, as it had never existed. There was only one piece of the original story of creation that God could not part with, no matter how hard he tried. He kept the day of rest as a flickering reminder of the time of his delightful unity with his twin flame soulmate, which his mind, his heart, and his soul refused to wipe out. From that point on every Sabbath, God and Lilith have come out of their realms, craving each other, wanting to look at each other in inconsolable silence, remembering the joy and the love they had shared as lovers, friends, and partners, and longing for the kisses and embraces they used to share. I've been burning candles for you and Lilith, my lord. I have cut out a heart from an old white t-shirt, and I split it in half. Next, I took out a red Sharpie and wrote your name and my name on one side, and Adam and Lilith on another side, to simulate the balance of male and female energies. I then sewed the heart back together and placed it in a white envelope with the word unity written on it. I was perplexed by how my name got heavily entangled in the stitches of the heart. How sadly symbolic. I guess it is my destiny to bear the pressure of the stitches and stretches of the relationship between you and Lilith. As I'm wrapping up this monologue, I'm subsequently burning all Hanukkah candles which I could find in the house, asking you and love for a miracle of divinity, union, love, and passion between you and mine, and between me and my man. I've been fighting for your greatness and in your honor for an eternity, my lord. Unfortunately, till this day, I'm doing it out of emptiness within me, blindly hoping that maybe you will be kind enough to grant me love in recognition of my loyalty throughout the millenniums. This time, though, I want to serve you from a place of fulfillment. That fulfillment is in your hands. They say that you don't allow your best warriors to fail, but in all honesty, I have been failing big time. Please, my father, fill my void. Fill your own void. Whenever I go through a very rough time here on earth, I close my eyes and imagine that I'm on a long bumpy road. I see myself as a little girl in a short skirt with a ponytail on each side of my head, and you and mom on either side of me, each of you holding one of my hands. You're on the left, she's on the right. That undeniable feeling of peace and certainty I experience with both of you holding my hands is still the only force that moves me forward. That feeling is my balanced, clear faith. As tomorrow knocks on the door and brings with it the light of the Passover, the celebration of freedom, I'm begging you on my knees, my Lord, to surrender to love. Adam, Lilith, and I already did that so long ago, and you're the only one left behind. Loosen up. Let yourself receive from a source that is bigger and wiser than you. You are the one who taught me the bliss of being cared for by the upper worlds. Perhaps it's time for you to explore your own upper world blessings. Forgive yourself, my Lord. You have long ago proven to yourself and to Lilith that you are powerful, that you are tough, and this ego battle has outlived its original purpose. Take off your helmet, my God. Tuck in your spear and kick back with sentient pleasure. Come down to talk and to make love to Lilith. Let yourself fall and allow yourself to again be filled to overflowing with love. Lilith misses you dead, just as much as you miss her. Free yourself from the complicated, sick and naughty karma that you created at the beginning of time. Free me, free Adam, and free Lilith. Let us all be good. Let us all be alive. And who knows, maybe tomorrow, as you lift the shield of karma to be eliminated forever, my Adam will stroll back into my arms, my heart, and my life, yearning and caring for me as deeply as he did just moments before we parted. Hold my hand and deliver me, my Father. After all, you are and have always been the Almighty Creator, and I will always be your little girl. I'm ready for you, my man of the dark. I'm ready to receive you fully with my whole being for a lifetime to come. Come and claim me. I'm your woman. You're my man. We are given to each other by both the light and the dark forces to unite in perfect unison of spiritual and physical harmony. Come, my beloved. It's time. Amen. Da da da